Oh, there we go. Okay, it's going. Yeah, I can see how those letters are tying together now.
Yeah, yeah. See, these guys, I'm being honest, I was away for a long time, right? So guess what I had time to do?
A lot of reading.
I really had time to study this stuff.
Wow.
Do you get what I'm saying? I really studied this stuff because it was like these guys are, come on, something's wrong with this picture here. So then I start realizing how to implement this stuff.
Wow. It's pretty amazing.
So, you know, like studying criminal procedure, it's a process that, it looks grim for a person that's a criminal. So what people have to do is just kind of like bypass that whole concept, just that whole concept and say, you know what? Well, you guys are engaging in the slave trade. I buy slaves.
Mm.
I buy slaves, and it's a concept that is profoundly will mess all these attorneys up, all these judges up, if you eliminate the controversy.
Right.
Apply the science.
That's amazing. Lance and I have been at this for about 12 years. We've had some of the same material, and we've not seen what you're throwing out here. We've come close, but man, you really tied it together.
At some point, we'll get off into dealing with the tax liens. Title 26. We could get off into Title 26. We could get into the Uniform Commercial Code. We could get off in, because all of this stuff really ties in. It really does.
Wow.
All of this stuff ties in together.
Wow.
To create this system. But you have to understand that what are we doing? We're playing a game called the government.
Yeah. Wow.
These public ministers, we allow them to tax, but on the other side, we have the ability to eliminate the taxation. They're gonna tax as much as we allow them to.
Right.
Especially when they're saying this in the Declaration of Independence. We're gonna create these governments, and these governments is gonna tax a motherfucker to death. Tax them.
Yeah.
We're gonna tax them until they can't do no more. We're gonna get the most out of them.
Hey, there he is.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Lance, do you have a question so far?
I got a comment on the last part.
Okay.
I was just going to say, it seems to me, with everything that you're showing us, I mean, for all the people that want to go through all this status correction and doing declarations, I'm not saying it's bad, by the way, but it seems like really, once you understand this, it's not necessary. Once you understand basically who you are as part of we the people in relation to these governments or these fictions, pretty much, and how to maneuver.
Right. Just a second. So I'm not sharing. Just a second. Hold on a second. Let me share. I'm gonna share the screen. I gotta share the screen again. I'm truly begging you guys to get this shit. Right? If you get this shit makes perfect sense, right? I have to point something out, and I'm far from racist, right? I don't do the racial thing. I kind of like try to observe everything, right? There was a point in time when, everyone has their thought processing on how the system has fucked them over. I'm being honest. This is how people view things. The system have fucked them over somehow. Right. And then guess what? And I tell people, the people of the broken record are correct. Nonetheless, they are of the broken record. Meaning, my people in general, guess what we talk about? And, guess what my people talk about? we talk about how they put us in slavery, how they dogged us out, how the people did it. They separate themselves from actually no accountability, which I can understand that because they were in a state of extreme servitude, and the people use very extreme measures and putting people in this predicament, right? But technically, they won that war. Who won that? The American people. They won that war. So then the American people, guess what they've also done? They conned the natives out of their land. So now here you have the natives that talk about, native pride. When we take into consideration who's always winning in this situation, the American people. So as everybody's complaining, and as everybody's complaining about how the system has done them wrong, what they're failing to understand is, you have a free invitation to be a part of the American people. So if you find yourself complaining, understand how it works. If you find yourself complaining about what the system has done to you, you are considered a loser. And guess what losers keep on doing? I want my this, I want my that. You're complaining instead of actually understanding who the winners are and being a part of the winners. Instead of being a part of the winner. And guess what Bush said? He said, it's either you're with us or you're against us. And that political system, guess what? They're winning. So you should study winning. Anyone who study winning, guess what they do? They win. But most people, we have an inclination of complaining about how the other guy has done something to us, instead of moving on and figuring out, hey, this is how they did it. They put all the rules there. They really actually put the rules. They put the rules out here on how to win. And there's going to come a point in time when I will show you how to get the property released. For every law that they use something against somebody, guess what? There's more laws that frees people. Has anyone, when they go arrest that runaway slave or that person who committed an offense, through the use of your counsel, they took advantage of your counsel? But do you see there's laws that says, well, if there's a treaty here, by you applying your exemption, well, his imprisonment is not acceptable. For every law that says something that you can't do this, you can't do that, there's a counter law that says, hey, there's freedom for everyone. We would have never looked at this, the average person would never look at this thing about this foreign official. I wish I was a foreign official. That's what the average person would say. Well, since I'm not a foreign official, well, this doesn't apply to me. Until you actually dig deep into the actual nature of what they're saying, all you really have to do is claim it. I could surely prove that I'm the political equivalent. I go to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and in the beginning of the Declaration of Human Rights, they're basically, hold on a second, in the beginning part of the Declaration of Human Rights, they're clearly stating that they should disseminate all of this information in schools and educational institutions without distinction based on the political status of the country or territory. They're saying that they put this stuff in schools and stuff. But how many of you guys ever said anything about your human rights? People don't do it because this is free information to the public, but guess what? No one studies it. So if you find these people saying that they're doing, how they're doing you wrong, well, if you're complaining about it, you're a loser. And guess what you're going to tend to do? Keep on losing. So now when my government, I'm gonna call it my bitch real fast. When my bitch goes tell me that somebody broke a law and they infringed upon my right, and they caught this person violating my right, it's my right and it's my duty to exempt that person's liability or pat my bitch on the back and say, you've done a good job. Understanding that science, you have to realize that the government actually works for the people. The Congress have the right to make rules for the government. So when they bring a charging instrument, and it's based upon their constitutional right that we the people gave Congress, is to lay and collect taxes by all means necessary and proper. So if such and such committed this offense, well, they're going to lay a tax on it. They present you with the negotiable instrument for negotiation. A perfect union. What is the perfect union? A legally registered organization formed to negotiate with employers. If I'm employing the use of the government, I'm a part of this organization and I'm an employer, and it's negotiate. So they're going to certify that this person committed an offense and he's a worker. He's a worker, your person. And all of this stuff ties in what a union is. He's a worker. It's an organization formed to negotiate with employers on behalf of workers collectively about job-related issues such as salary, benefits, hours, and work conditions. All of these workers that they're talking about are employees. They're all slaves, but it's formed to negotiate with who? Employers. A person, company, or organization with whom someone works. One who controls and directs the workers under an expressed or implied contract for hire, and who pays the workers' salary and wages. If you start realizing, wait, this government is my employee. This government, United States, is an organization. It's a corporation that works for me. But guess what? I'm the one who's employing them. So when they negotiate, when they issue a negotiable instrument to you, do you guys understand what a negotiable instrument is?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that comes under Article 3 of the UCC.
They bring the charging instrument to you. Look, boss, you as the employer. Look, boss, this fool here, he wasn't doing his job. So what they're doing is they're communicating with another for the purpose of reaching an understanding. Now, if you don't say nothing, boss, we're going to tax this fool under this contract. We're going to tax him to bring about the discussion or bargaining. Well, it's either you could exempt, we'll come up with a bargain. If you we'll tax him, and each year we'll deduct our tax liability for each year that we hold him in our possession. But here you could bargain this deal by exempting his liability on this account. A common law to transfer by delivery or endorsement, or by the transferee takes the instrument for value in good faith without notice of a conflicting title claim or defense. They're in the business of what? Trapping and trading. And guess what? They create a title to the they create a title to the property at common law. Then guess what they do? They give you the title. They transfer it to you in open court. They transfer the instrument to you by delivering or endorsing, whether they sign it or they simply deliver it to you, or by the transferee, meaning you, takes the instrument for value. Well, if they give you a title to a good fresh slave or a title to a good fresh Bentley, and you accept it, understanding the concept of accepting, you're like, wow, this is a title to a slave here. Do you think that slave has value? I do. So I accept what they've given me for value because it has value, because I can make use of this slave. I can make use of this Bentley. Hell, I can make use of a pen. So I accept it for its value and discharge of their obligation. And guess what I'm going to do it in? I'm going to take it in good faith. Because guess what I realized? Wait, you guys have the right to engage in the slave trade. I'm not going to talk all of this bullshit about you can't do it. You have a right to do it. Why? We the people, we established you as a monster to be able to do this. You've done a good job. But in this particular situation, you don't need to put him in the warehouse. This slave could come with me. I'll use my exemption on this obligation that you endorsed, this obligation that you negotiated to me. And there's no conflicting claim of title. When you plead not guilty, what you're saying, well, this person is not a criminal. When you plead not guilty, guess what you're doing? There's a conflicting title because they have title to the slave that would they certify committed the offense. And when they prove that he committed the offense, well, the conflicting title is already established. But at this point, guess what? You're so discombobulated by the whole action that you're failing to take claim of that title that they negotiated to you. When they sign it over and they deliver to you, did you receive a copy of that? And guess what the human being says? Yes. Now they're negotiating with an employer. And we go to the fourth definition of negotiate under the UCC, the transfer possession of an instrument, usually by the delivery or endorsement, and delivery whereby the transferee becomes the holder. See, now we're really talking about law now. We're not talking about this dumb shit about if you did it or didn't do it, or all of that dumb shit. We're talking about they transferred a negotiable instrument to you. Do you understand? When you go into this courtroom or you going in, when they give you this child support bill, this child support bill because they're taxing the account. If they give you a IRS bill, guess what they're doing? They're taxing the account. And each of these situations are taxing the account. And guess what they're giving it? They're giving it to you for your negotiation, for you to make a determination on what you're going to be done, what's going to be done with this as an employer of the system. It's up to you to bargain on if the person is taxed and then they make deductions, or is you to exempt it and now they could offset their tax liability on the account. I'm going to read this again. Under UCC, the transfer possession of an instrument, usually by delivery or endorsement, and delivery whereby the transferee becomes the holder. You remember what a holder is the one who is in possession, legal possession of a document and entitled to payment on that document. To transfer possession may be involuntary. Okay, a transfer of possession may be involuntary as through theft. And the transferee does not have to meet, what does it say? And the transferee does not have to meet any additional due course requirements. If they swindle, if they did some trickery, look at the signs behind this. If they tricked the fool into slavery, and they gave you the title, you're under the presumption that they had the ability to do it. And guess what you took? You took that title in what? Good faith. Hey, I'm not disputing the validity or the merits or the way that you guys came about getting this title to this car or this slave or this house. I'm saying that since you transferred it to me, okay, I'm accepting it in good faith, whether you stole this person or not. Now I'm in possession of it, and the state, once I register it, now the state becomes my witness that I'm entitled to the goods that's associated with this obligation here. This is why what is it? We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, a registering, securing your claim organization that's form to negotiate with employers about these workers. And they're putting it in there, but they're saying it in such a way that, wow, they're talking about this liberty and stuff that, the poor undereducated people of any race or color, yeah, they're just talking, they're bypassing this stuff because they're just reading it, but they're not paying no attention to the legal nature of what this document is actually setting forth. The Constitution actually runs the United States. So in order for it to run the United States, it has to, in some ways, be ambiguous and open to anyone's interpretation of it. But when you actually break it down and you see exactly what they're doing and how the game is played, Congress should have the ability to lay and collect taxes and make rules for the government and make all laws necessary and proper to carry forth the execution of the foregoing powers. There's a section in here in the Constitution. Hold on a second. There's a section in the Constitution that eventually you'll see how they get on some real gangster shit. It's kind of like gangster, but most people aren't going to. How they say it is this section right here. Establish post office and post roads. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Post office and post roads. The signs behind the post office and post roads. If there's a post office and post roads, guess what they do? They have your what is it? They call it the federal zone with the zip codes, and the post office. This is the part of the post office. Well, post office have these things called post office employees. It's funny how they get down, but it's in the law, right? They got post office employees, right? And they can make all laws necessary and proper to pop these people off. So they make post office and post roads. For a second, we're going to find something here. Just a second. See, I could actually really break down all of these different sections in here. These sections, because you have to understand they're really giving you the definitions on how they trick people, right? It says, as used in this title, the term postal service means the United States Postal Service, established under Title 39, and every officer and employee of the service, whether or not such officer or employee has taken an oath of office. As used in this title, the term postal service means the United States Postal Service, established under Title 39, and every officer and employee of that service, whether or not such officer or employee has taken an oath of office. Okay, guess what happened? Now, when there's a human being that's on this class right now, this human being, guess what his name is? Jeff. Right? There's a human being in this class. His name is Jeff, right? So what happens is, guess what? I want to transmit some information to Jeff. I personally want to transmit some information to Jeff. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to employ the use of an artificial person. I'm going to put him on an envelope. I, a human being, or a governmental official, or a governmental official, I'm going to use this person named Jeff, a corporate fiction, and I'm going to put him on an envelope. I'm going to employ him, and I'm going to transmit him through the United States Postal Service. I'm going to use this person, I'm going to employ him and use the United States Postal Service to transmit information to this human being to carry the goods and services or the negotiable instrument or other instruments to this human being over here. So now, who am I using? This entity named Jeff. Thus, he is an officer. Thus, he's an officer and an employee of the service. And he didn't have to take an oath of office. All we had to do was use this person to transmit goods. All we had to do is use this person to transmit through the mailing system. So then he becomes an employee of the United States Postal Service, especially when the Constitution said, what did it say? It said make to lay and collect taxes by all means necessary and proper, with them giving them the ability to create post office and post roads, with them having the necessity to have postal service employees and officers. And I'm gonna show you how they work this, and I'm gonna show you how they work this in Title 28. They really work this in here. And when you start realizing these fuckers are scam artists, right? I mean, but it's kind of cool if you're on the winning side. It's like, wow, you guys have the coldest game I've ever seen. And it's kind of funny. You guys see the heading of this chapter, chapter 173? Can somebody read that? The heading.
Attachment in postal suits.
Okay, attachment in postal suits. Now we're going to go to right of attachment. Wow. Okay. Now check this out. If I'm trying to transmit $1 million to Jeff, right? If I'm trying to transmit $1 million to Jeff, and there's a postal service employee who has a duty to transmit this $1 million through the mail to Jeff, and all he has to do is get all Jeff has to do, this postal service employee, is to get the human being on the other side to sign off on it, right? But mind you, it's $1 million. It's in Jeff's possession. $1 million in this postal service employee's possession, and he doesn't get that piece of paper signed. What you might think that he have done with that $1 million? I'm asking a question. If he doesn't get somebody to sign off on that.
Absconded with it.
Okay. This now you have to understand how they're working this, because guess what happens? If your postal service employee, he has to get a human being to sign off on this obligation. They give these debt instruments they put these charging instruments or debts in your person's name, because he's a part of the postal service. He's an employee. Wherever debts are due and defaulting or delinquent, the postmaster, contractor, or other officer or agent or employee of the post office, or what was it? Post office department. Okay, what is it? Okay, where debts are due, a warrant of attachment may issue against all property, legal and equitable rights belonging to him and his surety, or either of them, where he is a non-resident of the district where he is appointed, or has departed from that district for the purpose of permanent residing outside thereof, or of avoiding the service of process. The point right here is when what that employee of the postal service, his job is to make sure that negotiable instrument is transmitted to the human being who's the rightful holder of that obligation, and his job is to get him to sign off on it and turn it back in, his slip back in, indicating that they signed off on it. Because what is making it appear as if he didn't do his job, and if he absconded with that money, now he's in trouble. Okay, what does it say? Where he is a non-resident. What does it say? Where debts are due from the default or delinquent. We're gonna bypass some of these clauses in here. Where the debts are due from a defaulting or delinquent employee of the postal service, the post office department, a warrant of attachment. Because now, guess what they're going to issue? They're going to, if you guys understand what attachment means, is they're going to arrest this property. A warrant of attachment may issue against all property, legal and equitable. They're going to issue a warrant of arrest against his property, legal and equitable, belonging to him and his surety. Now, Jeff, I'm talking to you now. Are you Jeff?
Yes.
That's a damn lie. You're a human being.
Okay.
Jeff is the Postal Service employee.
I got you. Okay, I got you.
But who's responsible for paying his bill?
The human.
The human being.
Yes.
You
So
pay with your
therefore-
exemption.
I was just gonna say
Yes.
the exemption. Yeah.
Yes, you're the person primarily liable for his debts. So therefore, guess what you are? You're his surety. Since Jeff himself, he cannot pay his bills. And guess what? And since you never used your exemption to indicate that you satisfied his debt, what they're going to do is they're going to issue a warrant of attachment, arresting all of his property, legal and equitable rights belonging to him, and they're going to arrest his surety, or either of them. You're his surety, and being a surety, make no mistake, being a surety is not a bad thing, because if a surety pays a debtor's bill, he's entitled to all the rights and remedies that the creditor and the debtors were entitled to. So when they bring an indictment against Jeff, guess what you say? Shoot, okay, I'm entitled to all of Jeff's property that you fuckers are taking. Comes now. My name is Jeff Johnson. I'm a human being. I'm a fully constitutionally empowered human being, and surety on account of this case. If you're to check the record, I'm going to use an exemption on this motherfucking matter here. I'm going to use an exemption. My exemption creates what? A credit, offsetting the tax liability on the account, so that where the situation of delinquency or defaulting, now it's nullified.
Wow.
Because of that negotiable instrument, it was never turned in and registered, and they never registered the registration of who the proper owner of that debt belonged to. That's why they said he's defaulting and he's delinquent. So we could bypass this second part. And now, what are they thinking of this debtor? Since you never registered it and you never signed for the package that or the negotiable instrument they gave him. So what they're saying is, and he's subject to convey it away, or is about to convey away any of his property, and has removed or is about to remove the same from the district wherein it is situated, with the intent to defraud the United States. Now, Jeff, I'm gonna go to Lance real fast. Lance, if they gave you an indictment, right, that said that you're going to give you life in prison, right? They said they're going to give you life in prison for $1 million, and let's say you never owned $1 million, and they sent you service of process and say, well, if you don't show up and pay for this, if you don't give us $1 million, we got to throw an astronomical amount of money out there. We'll say, $20 million. If you don't give us this, we're just going to give you life in prison. If they sent you that in the mail, what are you going to do?
I'm going to take out my pen.
No, I'm talking about prior to getting any understanding.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to get worried, of course. You'll be like, oh my goodness, what just happened?
And you they have the ability to put you away for life. What are you going to do?
Before knowing this, probably call an attorney or a lawyer.
No, you're not. You're going to run.
Yeah, I was gonna say pack the bags.
You're going to run. You call in. Okay, giving you 10 days in jail, guess what you're going to call? You're going to call a lawyer. Given a year in jail, you're going to call a lawyer. But now here they're talking about life in prison over $20 million, which you don't have, or no resources to have it, you're going to run. So the whole purpose of them issuing the warrant of attachment, arresting the property, because guess what they're saying you're subject to do? He's subject to convey away, or is about to convey away any of his property, or has removed, or is about to remove the same from the district where it's situated. So guess what they do? They issue a warrant of attachment. Lock this shit up, because this motherfucker is subject to run. When the property has been removed, the marshal of the district when property has been removed, the marshal of the district into which it has been removed upon receipt from the a certified copy of the warrant may seize the property and convey it to a convenient place within the jurisdiction of the court which issued the warrant. So if they issue a warrant against you and they think you're going to run, the marshal is going to come seize that property, the surety, and whatever they have to fulfill that obligation. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
So, but the average person, when you go back to the beginning of this heading of this section, what does it say? Attachment and
Postal suits.
so you thinking, okay, when you as the scared person, well, you're not thinking at all that they're talking about because they're saying postal suit. You're not paying attention to the game that they're running here. Look what they say. Now we're going to go to this next section. United States Marshal or Assistant United States, the United States Attorney or Assistant United States Attorney or a person authorized by the Attorney General upon his own affidavit or the affidavit of another credible person state the existence of either the grounds of attachment enumerated in section 2710, which means that this person's about to run. He might run. And they put it on upon production of legal evidence of the debt. They said, well, I certified that he committed the offense and he may run. Certifying that they, on this affidavit, when they certify that he committed the offense, right, which also is the evidence of the debt, and he may run upon, what does it say, on the grounds that he may run and that he committed the offense, may apply for a warrant of attachment to a judge or in his absence to the clerk of the court of the United States, having original jurisdiction of such action. Here we gave him a negotiable instrument, but he's subject to run because there's a debt that's here, the debt's on, and we have to collect these taxes for the people. And he's subject to run because guess what? It's talking about he owes on this account, he owes $20 million. He's subject to run. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Okay. Now, issuing of the warrant. Upon an order of the judge of the court, or in his absence, upon the clerk of his own initiation, the clerk shall issue a warrant for the attachment of the property belonging to the person. Okay, who's the person? The person is Jeff. But now they're going to issue a warrant of attachment of his property. Jeff, what are you going to be considered? The property belonging to that person. Belonging to the person specified in the affidavit. They said to this person, Jeff, he committed the offense, so they're going to issue a warrant against his property. Jeff is the person and you're the property. The marshal shall execute the warrant forthwith and take the property attached, if personal, in his custody, subject to an interlocutory or final order of the court. When we start understanding this, okay, now we're going to look at how they get down in these court situations. Look what it says. Not later than 20 days before the return date of the warrant issued under 2712 of this title, the party whose property is attached. Jeff, who owns that property that's in the name of the defendant? Who's the rightful? Say that again.
Well, the human does, really.
You're the rightful owner of it. Jeff is the legal owner of it.
Okay.
So you are the party, the natural person, because now we're going to fast forward here. We're going to go over to debt collections. Wait a second. I want you to see debt collections.
Awesome.
We're going to go to debt collections real fast. See, they understand human beings exist. They understand human beings exist. Hold on a second. See, now when we're talking about debt collections, because the debt is owed to the people. Read number 10.
Person includes a natural person, including an individual Indian, a corporation, a partnership, an unincorporated association, a trust or an estate, or any other public or private entity, including a state or local government or an Indian tribe.
You remember when they charged the defendant of an offense, right? It says the term person includes the term person includes an individual, corporation, association, firm, partnership, society, or joint stock company. However, in this particular situation, now they include in here, when it's dealing with debt collections, now they include a natural person. because the natural person or the human beings have the rights to the debts that's collected.
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm saying? So now here they go charge this person. They didn't charge you. They charge that person, and then they bring it to you, the natural person, to resolve the debt, when they know damn well you could use your exemption to defray the liability on the account.
Right.
Because you're the surety on that account. You see that? One second. We'll go back here to we'll go here. So now when you start realizing, so now they said there's an existence of a debt and you're entitled to the debt on that account that the United States has to collect. Now, the party whose property is attached. Now, they attached you for the defendant's property, but you're the owner of you're the rightful owner of the defendant's property. The party whose property is attached upon notice to the United States attorney, because he's the one who has to pay out the debt on the account for real, because they're the ones who's issuing the account. The party whose property is attached, you have to do this, not the defendant. Upon notice to the United States attorney, like giving a certificate of notice, may file a plea in abatement. We did go over what a plea in abatement is, correct?
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Okay. But, you know, I do this all the time, right? What is abatement? Somebody read it.
The act of eliminating or nullifying. Let's see here. Number 2, the suspension or defeat of a pending action for a reason unrelated to the merits of a claim.
Okay, we'll go to 2. We'll understand this. Understand what they mean by this.
Okay.
Okay, it says merits of a claim. Anybody know what a claim is? And debt collections. Watch this.
Hey, Tommy, you got less than 1 minute on this.
We'll hear the debt collection. Okay, so maybe we'll finish this Sunday or something.
Yeah, that's cool. I just didn't want you to like get into something and get derailed again.
Okay. Just remind me, we'll get off into what abatement is, and we'll start realizing how we eliminate the case.
Okay.
Okay.
Abatement and debt collections. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, see, Lance and I are right here. It's like we're dealing with this stuff right now.
Yeah, we could resolve this matter when you start. You just have to man up. Knowledge will get you much farther than not getting you anywhere.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Right.
If you understand what you're dealing with, then you can